I was robbed of the opportunity to introduce myself. So I'm gonna do this. Cool. Yes. Just silence looking at everyone. Everyone is a software engineer here, right? Right? I mean, so for many years, I've been a junior developer, right? And still, but and over the years, I've saw many things, and I feel like I want to note down a lot of my observations into this one small presentation. It will take about 5 minutes of your time. Cool, so it's observations, some of the consequences, what are the solutions, and then a bit of conclusion, right? So there are a lot of content for developers out there, a lot, right? And a majority of them are targeting juniors, correct? And for many years, I've actually worked as a teacher of sorts for boot camps and coding boot camps and for schools. So one of the few things that it's very annoying, what we tell our students to do is go make a development blog, right? So go make a development blog, go document your things. So it becomes it will end up being there's a lot of content of blind leading the blind, of whatever they just learned last week in class, translating very badly into content for their blog, right? So a bit of the observation is that this is the first kind of people that are doing the content. The second type of people who are doing content are the influencer type, which is concerning. Why are there tech influencers? What is that? What are tech influencers? You watch YouTube shorts, right, and then they'll be talking about the worst possible things, and you're very concerned because it seems like they've never done programming a day in their life, and they're just sharing hey guys, just use Python for this. I'm what are you talking about, right? So a bit of disclaimer. So just a bit of disclaimer is that social identity theory is something that's still being discussed. There are a lot of things doesn't really affect, right? So my opinions. So number one, what are some of the things is that it gives you a very narrow perspective in the world, right? So it's a very shut door thing, right? If we constantly keep ourselves to one single group of ideology, it limits our viewpoint and solutions, right? If a developer only focuses on one single programming language, you might miss out valuable insights. And so key opinion leaders are a very weird concept to me. So this guy, anyone know this guy? Anyone in the Ruby programming world? Very fascinating person, right? So Ambrose behind, he uses Hey, which is a product from this guy. Anyone uses Hey actually? Anyone knows what Hey is? It's an email service. It's an email service, right? You get to have your own name. So the thing about this guy is that he's a very influential person because he kind of created the entire MVC system, right? His active model. So he has great ideas, but he also had terrible societal ideas throughout the world, which causes people to not really like him. And it's not the only guy. I guess the other guys Linus as well, of Linux and Git. People were very against his ideas of his very toxic work culture, right? So what ended up happening was that his very bad leadership caused an explosion in his own company. People went into their GitHub, actually deleted their pull requests for the Ruby on Rails stuff, and it was bad. It almost destroyed the Ruby on Rails thing. And this is another guy who's it's called new.js, right? You're laughing. You know what's gonna happen? Right. So interesting guy. Okay, so it's created by the guy who created Riot.js. No one heard of it, but that's not the point. It's just when you're trying to introduce something new, right? You don't usually have a random FAQ things like this, which is nobody asked. Nobody asked. Why would you put it in the FAQ? This is not a frequently asked question. So if you're wondering, there was a very big shift a few years back when they were shifting from trying to remove themselves from language that are problematic from the past. So GitHub has instituted to change the word master to main. So he decided to put this into his FAQ. Why did he do master? So slave thesis apparently. Okay, so something that DHS also have said something about to him that the word I disagree with you has something very fundamentally wrong about it. And I want you to just think about it, right? And it's not just like the important people. There's just random online wonkiness in general. Where's my pictures? Cool, this one. I'm just leaving it on the screen because it's terrible. Absolutely is. Right? So, like, there are actually bad takes like this, which is if you are at all familiar with how Golang works, so legend has it that Golang was created by, I can't remember his name suddenly. What's his name? Sorry? Right, so when he was like waiting for the C++ in the Google core system to compile, it took so long that he wanted to create something where it removes unneeded dependencies where Golang created. So in a way, it's technically more created for the cloud than Python ever was. But yeah, like people who are this was written by someone who's clearly their first language, really subscribed to it and didn't want to run away from it. Huh? Yeah, so, and it's, the unintentional comedy of it is that you can learn from like what he writes in it, which is like, it's exactly what you think it is. He really, like this person really believes that learning new languages is a lot complicated and you should just do it. And I feel like that's one thing I don't want, I hope that previously as a junior developer, I wasn't subjected myself to this, where I was very stuck to my own world of like wanting to know what I only know. I mean, you guys are here, so you guys are here to be open about things. Yeah. A bit of echo chamber. Signal boosting terrible ideas where like groups will become like echo chambers to reinforce each other's bad beliefs, right? A new developers group will like dismiss new ideas just because you don't align to each other's views. This thing, anyone here? Anyone here? Okay, so in general, it's like a joke already to that the software engineering communities is very hostile to juniors, right? Like the common joke is that if you post anything on Stack Overflow, it goes, it disappears. It's a duplicate and then answered somewhere else and then disappears, right? So that's the joke, and majority of it is going to be here. But what they don't tell you on the other side of the story is that it's very hard to help juniors in general, because sometimes it's just their homework, copy pasted. How do I do my homework? Or it's just like bad questions where read the documentation, right? Yeah. So, and I think it's very well spoken here. Like it's one of the things I saw like 3 years ago. Yeah. So can you see? Can you see? I feel like I should highlight the things, right? It's like it's always like very hard to like introduce like question answers to new people because like they often like don't really understand the problem themselves, and like it's the entirety of programming humor. It's either like bad takes or like just juniors, right? And the resistance to change is actually very painful to watch. So it's like a very frog in the well thing where like, you know, okay, here's the thing. Yeah, so I written this when I was like a bit like wonk, so like I have a counterpoint to this later. So refusing to learn something new, right, like that doesn't align to your tribal approach. So like a counterpoint would be, there's a 5-year like rule, right? I fully subscribe to the 5-year rule, which is, I think borrowing technology is still interesting, right? That like in a certain way, like new technologies are important, but battle tested things are also important, right? If you ever had the time to read out this, you can look up this article. It's by it's a very interesting product. It's called Hanzi Hero. It's 2 Americans creating a Chinese learning app, which is sick. they are now based in Taiwan, so yeah. So the essence of the entire article is talking about like how you should always like wait 5 years for technology to mature before like even attempting it in production. So overcoming these little things. Ken Dots, he is what's that called? Content creator online. He is a pretty famous JavaScript man, right? In 2017, he's like, I don't use TypeScript, don't ever plan to support it. And like over time, he's like, if you're not as of me like screenshotting this 2 hours ago, he's like, my website is completely 100% TypeScript. If you're not comfortable with TypeScript, then you can buy a course from me. So, mark of a good developer is someone who can change, right? Mark of a good developer is someone who can really learn from like things. And So these are like the takeaways I hope that you guys take away a bit, which is like, I mean, most of you here don't look like juniors. So embrace curiosity, diversify your learning sources, be open-minded, right? Sometimes it's good to just take a step back. A lot of time online content is not worth engaging. But if you have to engage with them, like, always remember opinions that they typed years ago might not be the same thing that they hold anymore. Thank you.